Happy Sunday, everyone. Welcome to Our Issues Birmingham. Today we have as our guests the founders of Wings of Hope Pediatric Foundation, Tanya Willingham, who also serves as an assistant district attorney in Shelby County, Alabama, and Dr. Dan Trotman, who is a retired pediatrician who has dedicated his services to this organization and helped found it. Tanya, why don't you tell us, and I know it's a tough subject for you to talk about, how Wings of Hope came about?
Wings of Hope came about in 2010 after my husband and I's second daughter passed away. In 2005, I'll kind of go back a little bit and tell you about kind of how we got up to 2010. In 2005, our first daughter, Piper, was born. Shortly after she was born, we found out that she had a genetic illness called spinal muscular atrophy. She passed away at 5 months of age in January of 2006. Fast forward a few years, we were able to have a healthy son, and then after we had our son Grant, we became pregnant with twins. Our twins were born in May of 2009, and shortly after their birth, we found out that Hannah, one of the twins, had the same genetic disease as Piper. So Hannah was diagnosed with spinal muscular atrophy. Throughout Hannah's life, we knew she was going to have a short life. And in November of 2009, she was placed on hospice care. The hospice group that we were fortunate enough to get had Dr. Trotman as one of the owners, and he was the pediatrician on their staff. Through meeting with him when he would come to the house to see Hannah, we would discuss how there were no organizations in Alabama to help serve families that had terminally ill children. And his side of it, he saw a lot of people who didn't have the finances to pay bills or to have Christmas or maybe needed furniture, those kinds of things. My side of it, I had a healthy, I guess he was about 2 years old at that point, my son Grant. And then I had twins, one that was healthy and one that was sick. And so my side of it, our family needed help with lawn care and meals and house cleaning and things like that. So in discussing, the needs that many families face during a terminal illness of their child, we decided that we would form a foundation, and that's how the Wings of Hope was born. Hannah passed away in 2010, and shortly thereafter, the Wings of Hope Pediatric Foundation was started.
Unbelievable. You've been through a lot.
Yeah.
That's tough. I'm glad you turned it into a positive thing. Is the disease, you said genetic, can you trace it in your family or in your husband's family?
We cannot, and we didn't try. We just know that both of us are carriers of the genetic disease that causes it. So in order for a child to have spinal muscular atrophy, which is, I'll describe it as kind of like Lou Gehrig's disease in a child. They're born as strong as they will ever be, and then they just progressively get weaker, and their lungs never fully develop and everything. Wow. So both of us are carriers of it, and every time we were to become pregnant, we would have a 25% chance of a child having spinal muscular atrophy, a 50% chance of them being carriers, and then a 25% of them not being affected at all.
Wow. Dr. Trotman, do you see a lot of this?
No, it's pretty rare. But what we do see are a lot more leukemia and bone cancers in children, and actually, and brain tumors. And most of the children that we assist, their families either have leukemia or bone cancer or brain tumors.
So you're open, your charitable organization is open to assisting any sort of illness that affects children, terminal
Terminally, yeah.
children.
Yes,
And are you limited in scope to Alabama?
yes, to Alabama and up to 18 years of age.
I see. And tell us a little bit about yourself and your history, Dr.
Well,
Trotman.
I practiced pediatrics in private practice here in Birmingham for about 32 years. And after retiring, someone offered me a job at a hospice that they were putting together. So I became a part owner and medical director for this hospice. And we had offices all over the state. And subsequently, we were purchased. But I still worked with Tanya to put this Wings of Hope together.
And you're retired now, right?
Yes, I'm totally retired now.
So when I asked Tanya if you were available for this taping, she said, "I'm sure he is, he's retired."
If I'm in town, I'm available.
So in terms of volume, give us some idea of how many numbers we're dealing with of children that are affected this way that you're having to service.
We get our patients primarily from the social workers at Children's Hospital, and some in Mobile and some in Huntsville. Very rarely, maybe one or two a year from Huntsville and Mobile. But the majority come from Children's Hospital here because it's a huge referral center for everything,
Well,
all childhood illnesses in the state of Alabama, and sometimes outside the state of Alabama.
Well, that's great, because we have a great children's hospital
Oh,
here.
absolutely.
So they're a good source.
Excellent source.
Actually, the other way around would be better said. That
Yeah.
You're a good source for them to help these people in need. We're going to take a break, and we're going to come back and talk about some of the things that are going on in November
Okay.
to help raise money for your organization. So don't leave me. I'm going to take a break. This is Our Issues Birmingham. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Our Issues Birmingham. We're talking about a very serious subject. However, for the month of November, we have a little lightheartedness going on in an effort to raise money for Wings of Hope. Tanya, what you got? What you've convinced every police officer in Shelby County, primarily,
Yes.
To not shave?
So we have numerous Shelby County law enforcement agencies, and actually Montgomery Police Department came on board this year as well.
And right here now, well, by the time this show runs, it will be halfway through November, but
So they'll be
you can
here.
get a half a beard.
That's right. So what is this, our fifth?
Fifth, yeah.
No Shave November. So 5 years ago, Pelham Police Department came to me and said, "Hey, we want to do No Shave November, and we want to have it benefit your organization." We thought it was a great idea, so we were able to get Pelham, Alabaster, Hoover, Helena, Shelby County Sheriff's Office, Montevallo Police Department, University of Montevallo Police Department, and then this year, Montgomery Police Department, to all agree to put aside their policy of no beards for the month of November. So they're allowed to put down their razors, and they're having a friendly competition to see who can raise the most money and awareness for the Wings of Hope, and who can grow the best beards. We have kind of like a closed finish off to the program.
Well, how does somebody that wants to support Sergeant so-and-so at Pelham's beard get money to Sergeant so-and-so?
So you can either write a check and present it to the police department. A lot of businesses will do that, and they take pictures and kind of
100% deductible.
Yes, it is. They will take a picture and post it on their social media, or if you wanted to make a donation via credit card, then you can go to it's www.wingsofhopepediatricfoundation.org. You can go to that website and you would click on the donate button. I think donate to a specific fund, you would click on that, and there's a drop down menu, and all of the police departments are located on there. So you would highlight your police department, and that's how you would
And you can do it by
online.
credit card, of
Yes.
course. And this is an odd question, but it did come to my mind. Are women allowed to participate in this in some way?
They do. So the police departments have come up
Sorry.
with...
You don't want to cut out half of our fundraising effort.
So all the police departments kind of have their own idea of what their female officers or personnel can do. I've heard that some departments let their females donate money so that they can paint their fingernails a certain color. If it's kind of like the behind the scenes or like the dispatch or administrative side of the police, then they might let them wear jeans instead of, whatever their uniform is. So they all each have kind of a different policy for what their ladies can do.
What about you, Dr. Trotman?
Well, what I was going to say is...
It's November 5th. I'm not
right.
seeing much growth there.
Right. Oh, not me. Not me. Are you kidding? But what we do is when...
You take on an Ernest Hemingway kind of look.
Right. But in December, when we have the judging, what we do is we have an event that we invite the policemen, sheriffs, and their families. So the wives and the children come, and we just have one big party. And everybody eats food, and then we get around finally to judging who has the best beard, the most unique beard, things like that. So it's a party. We really have a good time at it.
And where is that event?
This year it's going to be in Helena.
And what date?
It's on December 6th. It's a closed just for the law enforcement and their families.
Okay. So,
but we get together, and that's when we find out how much each department has raised, and find out what the total is raised for that month.
So it's not really open to the public to attend the event.
Right.
No, just.
But the public's welcome to donate.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, who judges the beards, and what are beards judged on?
So each year, depending on where we're having the event, we've had it in Alabaster, Hoover, and Pelham, and this year it'll be Helena. The agency that's hosting the event, Helena, this year has helped pick the judges. This year we have Mike Dubberly as one of the judges, Speedy from the Rick and Bubba Show, and Noah Galloway will be one of the judges. And we let the judges kind of determine what their criteria is for best beard. And then we also have a most creative category, so that maybe if they're not, they can't grow a beard as well, then they can do something creative and still have a chance at, representing their police department and winning.
We've had, one year we had a gentleman that had Christmas tree ornaments hung all over his beard.
That's nice.
And last year we had an officer who had shaved his head and his face on one half only, and the other was completely hairy and bearded, and they said all the way down his chest too. So he was half a beard.
I think he tried to put our logo into his hair, the Wings of Hope logo. He tried to put wings in there.
So has there been any feedback from the poor person that gets pulled over by that officer? And
no, they don't do the most creative until like the night of the event. So their regulations require them to be neat and clean and tidy with their beard.
I'd be getting on the phone to the DA going, I think I have somebody impersonating a police officer. He's got a Christmas tree on his face. Perhaps. And in terms of funds, are you doing well? Are you doing always improving?
This is
every year.
Biggest fundraiser every year.
Yeah, but it's on the upswing.
It is. Every year we go up by either $5,000 to $10,000. We started out 5 years ago. I believe it was $13,000 that we raised. Last year it was right around $54,000.
Excellent, excellent. We're going to go ahead.
Which is important because the number of families that we assist has gone up exponentially also, and we're up to around 63 or 64 families this year alone, which is about 20 more than last year.
Well, I think after this show it's going to go up even more. I hope so.
Okay.
And I hope the funds go up as well.
Yeah.
This is Our Issues Birmingham. We're going to take a short break. We'll be right back to talk about this very important subject. Don't go away. Welcome back to Our Issues Birmingham. We're talking with Tanya Willingham and Dr. Dan Trotman with Wings of Hope. They do some great things for people much less fortunate than some of you. You mentioned right before we went to break, you're servicing approximately 63, 64 families right now that
So
are
far this year,
suffering
yes.
with terminally ill children.
Correct.
So that takes money, right?
That takes money.
And what kind of services do you provide?
Primarily services of these people who are having to spend so much time at Children's Hospital with their child that they get behind in their bills, their utilities, the car note, the house note, the rent. And when you're sitting by the bedside of your child who may die, the last thing on your mind is bills and problems at home.
Sure.
So the social workers at Children's, they'll evaluate these people and find out if in fact they are behind in some of their bills, and then they'll reach out to us to say, pay the car note or the house note, or they've had their electricity turned off because they have no ability to pay. And sometimes we've even done some lawn care for people who were they're spending more time at the hospital and didn't have time to cut their grass.
This may seem insensitive, it's not intended to be, but is there some kind of vetting process where you make sure that, or is it sort of presumed by the fact that the medical records support what's going on in Children's Hospital is really your vetter?
The social workers are good detectives.
Yeah.
They really screen these people to make sure that they really need our assistance.
And are there any other organizations that provide what you provide that you're aware of?
I think there are 2 others, maybe 3. That
this is not a competition. So
no, but they rotate around, I think, the 3 or 4 organizations to reach out to us or somebody else to help this family.
And I'm assuming there are times when it takes money, like you say, and so you have to keep raising money,
right,
to be able to support those that have these needs.
Yes.
No one that works at or for Wings of Hope is compensated.
That's correct. It's fully voluntary. There are no paid staff, and then the only overhead is really stamps and paper.
And a checkbook.
And a checkbook, correct. And like you said, this is a 501(c), so every donation is 100% tax deductible, and by the end of the year, everyone gets a receipt with Wings of Hope logo on there that they can use for their taxes.
And aside from the web page, are there other ways people can donate, or is that the most effective way to go about doing it?
That's really the most effective way.
Yeah, you don't spend any money on trying to get the word out. Do you have social media? Do you you have a Facebook page?
Facebook page.
And how does one find that?
The Facebook page is the Wings of Hope Pediatric Foundation.
So if they go there, is there a link?
There's a link to the
there should be a link to the
website.
website there, and they can get to the donation. Well, I hope you'll take the time to, when we get close to showtime, when this show runs, that you'll be able to get it up on your social media and increase your viewership. And as Karen and I well know about raising money for charities, you want to get that revenue stream up because you need it. What were you going to say?
The 63 families that we've helped this year, we've spent approximately $53,000 in assisting those families. So with the amount of families going up, we're spending a lot more.
The costs are going up too.
And I just kind of wanted to tell you our main goal for founding this organization and what we hope to do for these families is to give them time so that they don't have to worry about the menial everyday life stressors, so that they can focus on their child and their family
and their
creating memories
and coping
together.
skills with what they're about.
So
because it doesn't end when the death of the child occurs. I mean, I would just think this is an ongoing struggle in your brain uh, to think about when it comes around. So I admire you particularly for doing what you do and getting out and doing it, and you for being the right pediatrician for her to stumble into. Well, how do things like that happen? Who
amazing.
knows?
It's a God thing.
It must be. This is our Issues Birmingham. We're going to call it a night with that. Please try and help and support Wings of Hope. It's a very, very, very important and desperately in need of financial support to be able to help the families they help. I'm Tommy Spina. We'll see you next Sunday.